Welcome to Cyber Shorts, a LinkedIn Live series brought to you by SecureWorks. Today, we're going to have some short, snappy conversations about trending cybersecurity topics. And with me, I have Sarah Kern of SecureWorks Counter Threat Unit. Sarah is our lead researcher for the Democratic People's Republic of Korea and all emerging threats. Sarah, I'm really excited to have you on today's show. Thank you for coming.
Hi, Stacy. Great to be here today.
Now, Sarah, let's just go ahead and jump in. Over the past 12 months, there's been quite a bit of news and understanding around a North Korea IT worker scam that threat actors are engaging in. Can you give us a little bit of background for those that may not be familiar?
Yeah, absolutely. So first, I'd like to highlight that the enormity of this scheme. So it's an elaborate and ongoing campaign that has generated over $80 million US dollars on behalf of North Korea. And some infrastructure that I've been tracking shows that money laundering activities from this threat group may predate the IT worker scheme. But to jump backwards, for those who haven't been following as closely as I do, the North Korean fraudulent worker scheme involves uh, North Korean remote workers applying for jobs and obtaining high-paying positions at Western companies by using fake or stolen identities. And it also involves an intermediary facilitator who coordinates retrieval of corporate laptops, paychecks, and so on behalf of these remote employees. And what that allows for is that these facilitators enable the North Korean fraudulent workers to appear as though they are operating from Western locations or from the locations that they have led a hiring organization to believe they are working from. And in some cases, the laptop facilitators run entire laptop farms supporting multiple and many North Korean IT workers. And because North Korea is such an isolated country, threat actors from there seek out clever ways for generating money on behalf of the regime in order to circumvent sanctions.
And I think, Sarah, this is what really caught my attention the first time I heard about it, is it is very unlike a ransomware where you're holding ransom for information and collecting money. In this case, you have individuals that are actually working for organizations, collecting paychecks, and they're taking those paychecks and bringing it back into the Republic to use for potentially what the US has cited as maybe Ministry of Defense and other activities.
Yeah, exactly. That really gets at the motivations behind this scam.
So we talked a little bit about the motivations. Can you talk a little bit about the threat actors themselves and who we've identified that is engaging in these activities?
Sure, yeah. SecureWorks uses the moniker nickel for tracking regional threats originating from North Korea. And for this threat group behind the IT worker fraud specifically, we track it under the subgroup nickel tapestry. And what sets nickel tapestry apart is that it doesn't necessarily involve traditional phishing or malware delivery like we see from a lot of other threat groups. Like you had just mentioned, these fraudulent workers are most driven by keeping their head down and getting paid, collecting a paycheck.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's interesting, I know just came out today, is some new research. So, as you've said, the Counter Threat Unit, yourself, you've been watching this, but it looks like you found citations that this didn't just start in 2024. It could actually be linked back to activity in 2016. Can you talk a little bit about the latest research that just came out?
Yes, very exciting research and ongoing. Back in late 2024, the Department of Justice released some reporting that they had seized several domains used by North Korean front companies that are associated with the IT worker campaigns. And one of these domains, CTU Research, was able to discover a link between a front company domain and some crowdfunding campaign dating back to 2016. And that crowdfunding campaign was soliciting backers and fundraising, soliciting money to back a purported product that was a storage device advertised as a wireless memory hard drive. But the threat actors never intended on delivering this product and ultimately ran away with the money. The fundraisers did not receive a refund and never received a product. Relatively, this was a low effort scam, and it only garnered the threat actors around 20,000 US dollars. But what it shows is how North Korean threat actors experiment with a wide array of money-making schemes to generate money for the regime. And it also highlights that the Nickel Tapestry threat group may have been active in money-making schemes dating back to 2016. And like we've said, predating when the IT worker scams originally surfaced in 2018.
I mean, it's really amazing to think about how these threat actors are really evolving over time, right? And it's not a one-time thing. They're thinking about how they can create the most funds, how they can have the most success. And I think why this research is so important, because understanding the history, what we've learned, that can then be applied to better detect, what's happening today.
Exactly.
Now, to that point, this is not very easy to detect. Can you talk a little bit about why it's hard for organizations to understand that this is even happening within their environment?
Certainly. The challenging aspect of preventing this particular scheme is that more than ever, it relies on human vigilance and it's not solely a technical solution. There are many red flags that can be used to uncover fraudulent IT workers in this case, including verifying candidates thoroughly as that first step to prevention. And today we've released a blog post on the latest activity where readers can find a longer list of tips. But one memorable and easy takeaway that I've learned from speaking with organizations that have been impacted by this threat is as simple as getting to know a candidate just a little bit more during the interview process. And some useful ways to do that that have been shared with me is as simple as what's your favorite vacation spot, or what is your favorite restaurant in your hometown or campus, university campus. And so, what those simple questions can reveal is that often North Korean applicants can really be tripped up by those HR and interview questions because often they've never traveled overseas and likely have never been to the locations that are listed on their resumes or that they purport to be working from. So there are small steps like this where HR and interviewers can be the front line of defense in mitigating these attacks.
I really like that idea of getting to know your candidate, not only because it allows for something like this, but also even if you're interviewing, you want that authenticity. You want to really ensure that someone really is authentic in their background and who they are. And so it keeps you safe from this scam, but frankly, probably allows you to have a better hire overall too.
Yeah, good point.
Any final thoughts about what organizations can do to protect themselves, Sarah, as you think about this?
Yeah, I think the key takeaway is to remain vigilant, verifying candidates, and just having that level of awareness of what to look out for can really help in mitigating from actually getting to the point of hiring these workers.
And I think that point of awareness is so important because I feel like every time we get trained as users, we know don't click on a link. Oh, wait, don't scan a QR code. There's something new. And so I think bringing that awareness into not only the HR teams that are often engaged in hiring practices, but even leaders and others that are doing active hiring, really just to have that extra vigilance and know that this is just one more way that threat actors are trying to get in and potentially exploit our organizations.
Mhm.
Well, Sarah, thank you so much for having us today. I think this is really great information for anyone listening to really understand how the past makes us better to protect organizations in the future, as well as to be on the lookout for this IT worker scam that's taking place, what appears to be from the North Korean threat actors that are coming in. And if there's anyone on today's call that is concerned, maybe you're concerned that you have been victimized from this type of attack, feel free to reach out to SecureWorks. You can go to secureworks.com. We have a robust set of adversarial testing, threat hunting, as well as incident response services to really protect organizations. And then if you're looking for overall protection, we do have 24/7 monitoring, detection, and response that allows you to look for these type of threat actors. Unfortunately, we've seen this behavior and we've been able to respond to it, address it, and really work with our customers to make sure they remain safe. So, Sarah, thank you again for joining. Thanks for everyone that joined us in the virtual world. And please do check out the blog and references that Sarah said today.